We waited over 4,000 days. Welcome to the College Football 25 Dynasty.
EA Sports.
Our dynasty begins with the Aztecs of 76 overall, San Diego State. All-American is definitely the experience level we need with revamped passing. Man, this is so cool. Look at the main menu and the incredible drum line in the background. Gotta love that Pac-2. We're going to keep everything just the way it is. And San Diego State is one of the 12 teams in the Mountain West. All of a sudden, we go from 76 to 80 overall. I'll take it. There are a couple teams that are 80 overall, and the Bulldogs of Fresno State are the highest-rated team in this conference at 81. So the Aztec coach for 2024 is Sean Lewis. For those who know of Colorado's coaching staff, he was the quarterback coach for Dion with the Buffaloes last year. Let's go ahead and make Sean Lewis instead of the fake coach that they have there, and he is absolutely a recruiter. We're going to be the most talented team in the country. All right, close enough. I mean, he has literally no hair to Sean Lewis, but his beard is awesome, so we're going to go ahead and keep it the way it is right there. I don't know how tall he is, but I want him to be a dominating force on those sidelines. So 6'4", 250 pounds sounds good to me. Dominating coach on the sidelines. So wearing one of those fleece jackets that you'd run a marathon in, probably not the type of look I'm looking for. So in football, the San Diego State has been really good as of late, but they do have this interesting trend where they're anywhere from really, really good, like in 2021, to 4-8, one of the worst, most embarrassing teams in the country. I got a chance to see them nearly lose to FCS Idaho State last year live. Sean Lewis is going to turn this program right around. Our first opponent is against, in real life, Texas A&M Commerce. This is FCS Midwest. Oregon State and Cal before an open game, and then we begin the Mountain West season with the finale against Air Force, a very tough opponent in which San Diego State was blown out against last year. So here's a look at the coaching tree, and Sean Lewis, the elite recruiter that he is, has an opportunity to already advance in his recruiting points. And since San Diego State is pretty deep at just about everywhere, I'd say getting the O-line fortified is a good idea. So Sean Lewis is a C- prestige, C for Jack Riley, the offensive coordinator, and Jeremy Fuller is a C+. We're not exactly prestige-wise ready to win the national championship, but we do have a very solid coaching staff overall. Georgia is the number one team in the college football playoff top 25 for the preseason, followed by Ohio State, Texas, and Oregon. Get a chance to redshirt a couple of guys. Danny O'Neal, a freshman from Indianapolis. We're just going to hope that we don't need 4 quarterbacks this year. Man, this team is so deep at the receiver position. Go ahead. If this senior Nate Bennett wants to transfer after this year due to a red shirt, go right on ahead. We got plenty of guys that could take his spot right away. Recruiting for San Diego State. Let's add some prospects. We got a lot of guys that are interested in joining us. Too bad most of them suck. Okay, with 30 of the 575 hours used, this 4-star right end has very good attributes across the board. It doesn't look like a gem or anything, but absolutely worth the scholarship, and maybe even a little bit more after the preseason. So you see on the bottom there, the greatest opportunity that we have is with playing style for this Lynn Woodside and proximity to home for Fanau. So I'd say those are the two guys we're going to be throwing the entire house after. Total bust, Patuatutu, an absolute brutal bust. Another bust, Fanau's son. My goodness, can we pick up any guy that's interested in us who isn't a brutally bad football player? You know, this Lynn Woodside is not half bad, so we'll go ahead and offer him a scholarship. But, man, there aren't a lot of really good football players out there that are game changers for us. All right, that'll do it for recruiting, and I got to say, pretty underwhelming. And here's a look at exactly what happened. Well, not a whole lot of anything other than a lot of these guys are risking getting transferred. So we wound up actually doing worse. We may as well have not recruited at all, considering the guys that might leave us. We're at a bye, so let's go ahead and recruit again before next week. So we are the number one school for David Higgins, a right end from Scottsdale, Arizona. But Right behind us are a bunch of really good teams that offered scholarships as well, so this is going to be really tough to compete with. While it has been a rough week in finding some of those gems, we do have a lot of guys entering the top 8 for San Diego State, so I guess our recruiting did make a bit of an impact. Man, we are way ahead on David Higgins. He's not a horrible defensive end, but absolutely would add some depth to our defensive line.
Welcome to Snapdragon Stadium in San Diego, California, home to the Aztecs of San Diego State. Being in San Diego is never a bad thing, and it's even better when you have a matchup like this one. There's just something about the nightcap. After a day of wall-to-wall football, it just seems this is when chaos ensues. As we'll see, the Coyotes taking on a team from the Mountain West, the San Diego State Aztecs.
There's a look at Sean Lewis, and to the field, the guy who backed up the starter for the Seminoles of Florida State, A.J. Duffy, out of the Inland Empire. Stadium pulse is medium. Snapdragon Stadium can get pretty hot.
Wants to throw. It's Duffy. He uncorks a bullet to the right. And he's got it inside the 25. Touchdown Aztecs. What a catch and run for 6.
A.J. Duffy joins the Aztecs after a year in which they brought a safety, Jalen Maiden, over to the quarterback position. They got just a little bit better, and Mekhi Shaw, who's waited his turn to be an elite receiver for this Aztecs football team, went from a walk-on in 2021 to a big-time starter for this football team. It is Duffy to Shaw for the first touchdown of the year.
He wants to throw. Got it in the middle. It's Beal. At the 45, on his way. Flying down the left side. He's at the 10.
Are you kidding me? We had like 3 guys that were there to bring him down, and Dilworth, DJ Dilworth, a random tight end, sets a 1st and goal. What a joke. We're going to end up losing to this team yet again in FCS Midwest.
There's a 3 and out, Jesse.
They just had no rhythm in that last drive. So someone's...
Off he goes. The 40. The 20. Touchdown Aztecs.
Here we go. All the way from Keenan Christian, who played for USC for 3 seasons. That is his 4th career NCAA rushing touchdown, and that was a thing of beauty.
The aerial assault continues. Got his man. He gets the job done.
So with a little over 2 minutes left in the half, we're looking at 8 first downs given up by this defense. I think right away we know San Diego State, who graduated a couple of great football players on the defensive side, this team is going to have a long year in the Mountain West defensively. Oh, yeah, number 10, Bennett Walker, with a huge interception for San Diego State. I guess we're an opportunistic defense at the very least.
Didn't get him lined up in the middle, so he'll have to knock it through from 54 yards out.
Well, we may not have much of a defense, and our offense might be hit and miss, but we got ourselves a kicker, Gabriel Placentia, from long range. Okay, so that one Midwest scare was countered by a barrage of points for San Diego State, who demolished the FCS opponent on their schedule 41-10. A.J. Duffy, brought in from Florida State, and right away becomes a superstar in his first game with 3 touchdown passes. So as you can see, the defense for San Diego State leaves a lot to be desired. 328 yards given up by an FCS opponent. That is embarrassing. But we still should be very good as long as A.J. Duffy can throw for 3 touchdowns every week. And Keenan Christian, the former USC Trojan, had a big day running the ball. All right, we leveled up, and that should certainly help with our porous recruiting. Okay, we got the offensive line down completely. So we are number 1 for 3-star quarterback Santiago Lelito. Unfortunately, the punter, Nick Marler, we have a deal breaker. We're at the top 3 for middle linebacker Parker Gayton. Deal broke there at wide receiver and at right end. We are really struggling in recruiting right now. Mountain West Defensive Player of the Week, Trey White, with 3 sacks, 8 tackles, and 2 for loss. Georgia goes down on opening weekend, 38-36 to Clemson. That is huge. Here we go, Oregon State, San Diego State, our first big tune-up of the season. That's got to be the softest defense I've ever seen. Oregon State not only carved them up, but they did it real quickly. A.J. Duffy to Mekhi Shaw. That's the combination that's going to wreak all sorts of havoc this year.
He wants to throw it again. Fires a bullet. Now it's picked off.
Josh Hunter, number 24. We do this. Last week against FCS, it turns out that wasn't a fluke. We bend, but we do not break. Hunter all the way for the Aztec lead. Josh Hunter, his first interception as a collegiate football player.
They can pick up a first down without scoring. Third down. He wants it all. And he's got it. Touchdown, San Diego State. Give it to him again on third down. And that pass is intercepted.
Bryce Phillips, another big play for San Diego State. His brother plays currently for the Atlanta Falcons, Clark Phillips III. Massive takeaway from the defense. We are right on our way to upsetting one of the best teams in the West, Oregon State.
Guys, this is a really good win for this ball club as they put together consecutive victories.
We have defeated Oregon State at Snapdragon Stadium, and while I don't have any of my new recruits in yet, we've got a good base going forward. Bryce Phillips, player of the game, transfer from Tennessee State with the clinching pick 6 for San Diego State. So of the 6 that we have a recruiting update for, we have a deal breaker, so we can't sign 5 of them. But this wide receiver, Jalen Drango, can be a future Aztec. He's in first place by a long way. Bryce Phillips, the National Defensive Player of the Week, the pick 6 of Oregon State, a big reason why the Aztecs are 2-0. Big win for the Wolfpack of NC State as they defeat Tennessee in overtime. Oh boy, yet another opponent where we are huge underdogs against. They're better is California than San Diego State in every way, shape, and form. Ooh, it is a rainy day here for the Golden Bears play host to San Diego State in their first true road game of the season. San Diego State will have a bye after this.
He'll run it up the middle, trying to pick his way to the end zone.
California's defense getting carved up right now. Another touchdown from A.J. Duffy. Well, thanks Florida State for the gift they gave us.
Oh, what a grab by the defense.
What are you doing, A.J. Duffy? Cam Sidney, an 80-yard pick 6. That has to be the worst decision I've ever seen by a quarterback, and that includes a guy we had at safety last year. Jalen made it playing quarterback. Well, there's no fight in this team, but Jaden Ott sure had a lot of fight against San Diego State. The Aztecs come back down to earth. A little bit of reality for this San Diego State program as California delivers a butt whooping led by 3 rushing touchdowns out of their lead tailback. Yeah, I think winning in the trenches is going to be a major theme in our recruiting this year. San Diego State outgained running the ball, 157 rushing yards for Cal, -4 for San Diego State. We have a quarterback of the immediate future for San Diego State and A.J. Duffy, another 362 yards for the field general, but not enough in the San Diego State defeat. Our final game of this episode, game week against Central Michigan, and then we have a whole host of recruits coming in to San Diego State. But first, it's the Chippewas, 75 overall against the Aztecs of SDSU.
Get off the field on 3rd and long. On the run, it's Duffy. What a complete disaster. What a terrible decision.
Come on, A.J. Duffy. How about don't drop 15 yards in the backfield, you doofus?
And the last time they had the ball, they wound up giving up a safety, Jesse.
Yeah, that was ungood the last time they had the ball. So they got to do something here.
They're going to get him for a safety.
You know, if A.J. Duffy keeps up this horrific decision-making, I think he's going to get benched pretty quick here.
They'll ride the running back and leave it with him. Smashes ahead. Got a lot of running room. The 20. And he slipped through the crowd, and he'll house it. Touchdown, Aztecs. Matriculating the ball down the field. Release to the back. And he'll haul it in and take it to the end zone. Touchdown, Central Michigan.
We have two big touchdowns from Keenan Christian to give them the lead. This is the running back who had to vibe from like 5th or 6th in the depth chart coming out of high school. And he's turned into an absolute star. All-conference selection a year ago as a kick returner. Didn't need to run back a kick there. He just outrun the whole defense of Central Michigan for the touchdown. All right, we're at the end of the third quarter, and due to a boatload of mistakes, just an embarrassing performance today. We have good play at running back from Keenan Christian, but San Diego State is down to the trash Chippewas of Central Michigan, 32-25.
Wants to throw on first down off the play fake. Lets it fly. Catch and stride inside the 15. Completion.
With 2 minutes to go in the game, A.J. Duffy is stepping up as a big boy on this drive. It almost makes you wonder, the young coach, young quarterback, if they can orchestrate the clock right to not give Central Michigan a chance.
Now a 2nd and long coming. Into the end zone. Touchdown Aztecs.
Mekhi Shaw has been their big play threat all year, and San Diego State's back in front.
3rd and long, and he'll try to throw for it. Almost intercepted, and that might have been the ball game if he had held on. Instead, it's 4th down.
How do we not come up with that football?
He'll try to throw and pick up the first down. Looking left. It's incomplete, and they desperately needed to keep that drive going, and they couldn't make the connection.
San Diego State finds a way to win, led by Keenan Christian. This is the guy we're going to have to lean on all season if A.J. Duffy's going to act like a complete moron for most of a game. I mean, those two safeties was a complete joke. San Diego State was fortunate. Central Michigan's not a good football team. Aztecs are now 3-1. So we have already moved up to level 5 and have extra recruiting points for head coach Sean Lewis. So I have, as you can see, not only entered deal breakers, but have also lost a commitment to UCLA Parker Gayton. With that said, we have the reigning Defensive Player of the Week, Brady Anderson, who had some big takeaways in the win against Central Michigan, and Offensive Player of the Week, too. We dominate the conference as Christian goes for nearly 200 yards. Mountain West opener against Hawaii, who is undefeated. As you can see by the numbers, we are the better football team, so it'll be interesting how we fare against them. And it also is important considering if we lose, we get a lot of negative points with recruits who are visiting the game against Hawaii. Higgins is in the lead. He might fall out of it if we lose to Hawaii. Same story with Cedric Stewart. And we'd have no chance to grab Kono Ojomo if we do not defeat Hawaii. Man, this conference is really good, led by Wyoming, who is 5-0. A couple of conference games are underway, but San Diego State, despite a winning record, is currently in the 6th spot in the Mountain West Conference. A.J. Duffy, somehow, some way, is 4th in the conference in quarterback rating. He has to have one of the worst decision-making in college football right now, but he somehow is very highly rated. 9 touchdown passes this year for Duffy. Keenan Christian has just been unstoppable. In the Mountain West, he is the number 2 running back in terms of yards and has the number 1 rushing average by a mile. 5 touchdown runs as well. That'll put him at 2nd. Just a sensational start to the season for the former USC Trojan. San Diego State is towards the bottom of the Mountain West in total offense, but they are scoring 33 points per game. Right there in the middle of the pack in defense for San Diego State, allowing about 300 yards a game. This has got to be some sort of an NCAA record. How do you only score points a third of the time inside of the red zone? A complete disaster. Luckily, they have the number 1 red zone defense in the league. As we go into the next edition of the College Football 25 Dynasty revamp for San Diego State, the Longhorns of the University of Texas at 5-0 are the number 1 team in the country. Where is Alabama? I know they've got a new coach, but this team is not in the top 25. That's crazy. Utah made it in there, and then as we look at the rest of the list, Georgia fell all the way down to the 7th position. We are underway for College Football 25. Coming up, the Mountain West Conference schedule beginning with a home game late at Snapdragon against Hawaii. Wyoming, the bye, Wazoo, Boise, New Mexico, UNLV, Utah State, and Air Force. It's the College Football 25 Dynasty with the Aztecs of San Diego State.